We'll go to paddling in. Kathy, where do you want to sit, over here?
She had
Yeah.
foot surgery. She agreed.
Yeah, don't make me walk too far.
I'm handy granted.
Yes,
you feel better
with the torn.
You walked from Summit Street to get here.
Yeah, right, huh?
Yes, sorry.
I should have.
I don't. Well, okay, I guess I need a sign.
Yeah.
Sorry, you know, it's never a short answer.
No, especially depending on who you're trying.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. God, my watch says it's just noon. Oh,
We're good.
Jeff can do that to you. He talks a lot.
I'm glad you said that. Thank you very much.
Victor, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Good. Okay, let's call the meeting to order at 12:05. This is our March 17th meeting of the Tree Advisory Board.
May 17th?
Welcome, everybody.
May 17th?
May 17th?
Yeah.
Yeah, what did I say?
March. Oh,
They share a lot of the same letters.
Yeah. All right, let's just read that here.
About 500 people.
again, the breathing.
Victor, would you like
I'll
to
do
call
a
roll?
roll call, yes. Talia,
Here.
Kathy Leo,
Here.
Anna Mulder,
Here.
Kathy Macho,
Here.
and Carol Willard, our newest
Here.
member.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us again.
Yay, welcome.
Let's see, let's move on to approving the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look? Any comments? I think Kathy has one.
Yeah, the minutes say Friday, February 16th instead of Friday, March, whatever.
Hmm.
I'm not even 100% sure what the date.
Do I have the wrong minutes?
I don't think it's
No, I
the
think the
wrong.
minutes
notes.
are right.
Gotcha, it should be.
You just, it's the
Yeah.
date at the top. I'm sure that was. What date was that? March 15th.
March 15th.
All right, does anybody else have any comments, questions? All right, that being the case, do you want to make a motion? To approve the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes with the corrected date.
I'll second. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. And let's see, Victor, let's move on to board communications. Do we have any?
Yeah, just really quickly, I'll talk about maintenance a little bit. Ben and Lucas are looking at doing a July training or August, depending on when both he and DPW have time to talk about trimming, pruning, and hopefully the planting. Trees, if we can make that. How to properly plant trees.
Excellent.
And that's partly ties into with, having DPW trim, remove dead hazardous limbs and having our arborist go along with that, so we can identify if the tree's actually dead or not, or diseased. We are putting irrigation at the skate park, and so we will have irrigation for trees along M119. And we also have a couple dozen gator bags ready for new plantings. Of course, it's just the start of maintenance, but we're trying to get more done with it.
I
It's
asked
a
a
start.
question.
Yep.
When you say there's irrigation going in, does that mean it's like got an automatic on off, or does somebody still have to turn that?
Yeah, no, they'll set it, they'll program it for,
So it'll be a program thing.
and they can
so-
turn it off as needed. Like if it's gonna rain or whatnot.
Gotcha, okay.
Victor, with the irrigation that's going in, because I'm in the garden club too, and happen to be in charge of the East Hill Garden, any way that the irrigation could be brought a little further so that the East Hill, which is the Hoyt and M119 garden, could get irrigation of some kind? Because right now we don't have any.
I'll ask Lucas.
Good idea.
Just looking at just.
Victor, then, is there gonna be a schedule for, filling the gator bags?
Well, I guess
This
it
is,
depends on
the
what, I
last
guess,
few years, it's been gator bags, but no water in them.
I guess it depends on what trees where. new trees that we plant, because I think the gator bags have been taken out of the trees here along this. I'm not looking at your answer, I'm looking at you because I'm thinking.
Where?
Gator bags have removed from where?
The trees along the spillway,
Oh,
then along M119.
is that, well, that's been there longer than we were,
Yeah.
huh?
3 years.
But
I was thinking
DPW
3 years, so theoretically, we didn't need
over
them
3
after
years.
3 years
Yeah.
was when that.
There's irrigation
Talking
there.
about?
Hopefully, I mean,
Oh, okay.
I guess, you know, like to back up, like we say, we use the word irrigation, but like it would be nice to have a schedule and know what the capacities are for what we have. Because if these plants are getting a drop a month, it doesn't do us any good. We need to know what the volume is. It's not just timing, it's volume. When you're thirsty, you don't drink for 20 minutes, you drink a quart or a gallon or a cup or a.
Well, and they're on a lawn schedule, so maybe it runs every day, but not for very long, where so they don't have deep watering, so maybe that's something you
Yeah.
and Victor can.
Yeah,
talk
we'll,
about. Yeah.
Lucas and Ben, yeah, we'll figure the maintenance. plan
Again,
out.
timing is only relative to how big of a bore we're running it through. What we want is like inches of water per square foot. And we wanna know that we're getting, you know, more than half an inch and less than 1 inch. So,
We'll leave that in your hands, how about that?
Yeah,
Um,
we'll
Yeah.
figure out, we'll
Thanks.
keep on improving the water situation.
Okay.
I did have an idea if, I don't know, I feel like the water has been happening on a, as we have time basis. And I don't know if you get people that inquire about being interns, but that could be kind of a fun summer intern job for a kid. Like a couple weeks to go around and top off the gator bags.
So we've never got an inquiry about an internship, but we have never asked
What are you
for
doing
it.
this summer? No.
We've never asked for
I
it.
mean, you could ask at the schools, right? Because it looks good on their resumes for applications for college too.
But the schools are looking for projects. I did get an email from, I think, the principal of the high school, I believe, that they're looking for volunteer projects to do. So,
That'd be awesome.
at the parks or so.
That could also be something for the tree basis. Thanks for all that, Victor.
Okay.
Now,
Ben?
if there is if we know of a young person looking to do some volunteer work in the parks, where should we send them?
If you know someone who might want to do volunteer work, Rachel.
Rachel, okay.
And then we'll get, if we'll get them the whole background stuff, all that.
Okay.
But yeah, you can send John Leo to Rachel.
Okay.
That's a good one.
why, what has he done?
Ben, you did have Ben did text me this morning about an update about a certain quarantine. If you want to talk about that, just
The
very.
Michigan Boxing quarantine has expanded from 1 county to 12.
What?
So boxwoods, right, the little shrubs that people plant that are from Europe and Asia.
Oh, yeah.
Those are fed upon by a moth that's been introduced. It was introduced to Europe and it's across most of the globe, but it's in Michigan. And that it started with a quarantine in Livingston County, which in 3 months has expanded to 12 counties. So it's likely because it's a flying insect that it will, you know, spread across the state pretty quickly.
So what does that mean for us?
It means that planting boxwoods is not a good idea. It would lead to more maintenance costs, and because they're an evergreen, foliar damage would lead to mortality, right? So if I have a maple tree that we plant, and something eats the leaves 1 year, the tree will grow another set of leaves next year. If I have a conifer or a rhododendron or something, an evergreen, and something eats all the leaves, it doesn't have a biological budget to grow those leaves back, and so it just ends up being a carcass. And so like that's the downside with boxwoods if we act with the plantings, we want to be careful.
So add in planting, what do you know, like we.
Do not add them.
Yeah, do not
This
add
isn't
them.
really a tree or thing per
if we-
se.
Yeah, if we add boxwoods, the decision that we're making is that we'll probably have to do maintenance, which is preventative insecticide applications to make sure that they're not preyed upon those.
Okay. All right.
And it hasn't happened yet, but it could happen. It's likely to happen.
So if one has boxwoods in their garden, what should they do
Um,
now?
Just watch them.
Just watch.
Fingers crossed. I mean, unfortunately, it's a self-moled problem, right? Like this is an insect that can fly.
Mhm.
And if it shows up, then it will, it's a moth, it'll lay an egg, that egg will hatch, and then you'll have a caterpillar. And that caterpillar will feed on leaves.
I
And if
mean,
you
is
don't-
there anything we could spray it with or anything else?
Oh, lots of things. I mean, lepidopterans are amazingly sensitive to things like permethrin and oils and, I mean, so. A lot of the insecticides are effective. The problem is that a lot of people have large plantings of boxwoods, and so it means a lot of regular spraying.
I'm gonna suggest that, if you wanna talk more later,
Yeah,
we
I'm
can, we're getting a little off.
Yeah,
track here.
we're on schedule.
Yep, sorry. And then, another thing, I think Victor sent me a note about, the woolly adelgid, is now in Traverse City and, could be making its way up here. So, I was gonna recommend that we maybe hold on planting hemlocks. That's the tree that
Did you hear about that? Bill?
Okay,
It
there
was
is.
actually in Harbor Springs before it was in Traverse City. So, yeah, it started in Roaring Brook, and they actually were able to
So what was that?
eradicate it.
What was it called again?
HWA, Hemlock woolly adelgid.
So I think maybe for now, we hold on putting any new ones in just to make sure it's not gonna become a big problem. Okay, let's see, that's it for board communications, Victor?
Yep.
Alrighty, public comment, we have, someone on there. They have anything they would like to add? Please raise your hand.
No, thank you for allowing me to listen into your meeting. This is Nancy Dwan from Petoskey, but I'm actually camping in Lake Leelanau right now.
Nice.
okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for
Thank
checking
you.
in.
Yep.
Okay, let's see, let's move on to then old business, the street tree plants.
So from council and from previous donors, we have 12 trees. So we have 24 trees total, 12 from donors and 12 from council contribution. So our goal is, our next steps are when to plant, where to plant, sending out letters, et cetera. So our high priority streets and neighborhoods were Lake and then Traverse between Hankey and Third, and between M119 and Lake, Spring between Maple and Lake, and Pine between Elm and Spring. So I guess my question to you is, do you want to pick a few spots in all of those locations or focus on a few locations? Like a
I
couple.
think we had discussed spreading them out, not just sticking to Lake Street, for example.
Yeah, I'd like to spread them.
I think Lake Street by far had the greatest need, so maybe a bigger percentage there, but
We're on Lake, we don't have Lake.
Oh, Lake, all of Lake Street. It's, yes,
Oh, it's
right,
all, oh, got it, okay.
essentially, yeah. So I guess, I think it might be probably too late for a spring planting. They'll get to send out letters to neighbors to see if whatever they're okay with it, if they, or that they have, our goal is, it's city properties, not to ask them if they approve or disapprove, but if they have any concerns that we should know about, that might actually make it not a good spot. This happened in Layton Park where, we had a couple of spots where people said it wasn't a good idea, so they might put a driveway, a curb cut in or something like that, so. But, species we left up to staff to figure out based on location. You guys are okay with that? Because it'd be forever to, all right.
Sure.
So I can get with Ben and Lucas to see what species are appropriate in those locations. And probably,
that's a good question. Do you know whether schools are planning to do any plantings, or that would be up to the city to plant in the right of way along schools?
That would
Along
be-
Lake.
that would be up to us, but since they're doing construction right now, I think we would probably. Well, because, so their plan for their school does not require zoning approval. They don't have to go through the planning commission, so we don't know, we have to check their plans to see if it includes any trees in the
They might have
street
it
right
in
away,
there.
but they're not allowed to plant trees in the street right away without our approval anyway, so. If their plans do include street trees,
That is a pretty barren stretch, though. Would you
Yeah.
be able to check to see?
Yeah.
So we're saying it's too late to plant now.
Well, trees get planted all year round. There's less stress on the tree if it's in the spring or the fall, though.
Got it.
yeah, and I would say because
Okay.
we just don't have enough information, what species we're gonna do and when, and haven't ordered order them yet and everything. It just might take a while to do
Yeah.
that. So fall might be a more ideal planting time, but again, it depends on a lot of factors, so. I will ask the school about,
And so this will be a DPW project as opposed to relief or something like that.
yeah, the street tree plantings aren't gonna be a relief grant, it would be a city staff thing. So DPW and Lucas and then they went to that. But yeah, this would not be relief because they're not into street tree plantings.
Okay, and then plant location species, so really it's in staff's hands right now.
Yeah, and I'll update you along the process. We have the map, we have the plan you guys have put in place. Well, not you, Carol, but everyone. We have the plan that was put in place that we'll use that as our template and we'll update you on.
Good, any other thoughts or comments on that? We did have a good article in the paper about presentation to council and then also following up with a tree canopy column about the street tree plan. So I feel like community outreach has been pretty good on that. When we get to Arbor Day, that was another thought is whether we want to kind of focus on street trees as a theme this year. But let's wait till we get there. Okay, next up is the Harbor View park tree replacements. Do you want to give a little background, Victor? And then I have kind of a parks perspective on that.
Do you have that drawing?
I
couldn't-
got it from Dana like about 15, 20 minutes before the meeting, so I can,
Oh,
I just didn't have time to upload it to.
well, it was in the packet, but I didn't think I could print it. So
Oh, this drawing, okay, then I have a,
not that, well, there was another one.
The diagram?
Is that one or this one?
That one.
that, okay, that's not,
That's
that's
a
for the
different
M119.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But we could use the aerial for the park there. If we could slide her
So this
over.
is a park, and maybe Dana, you wanna, I know Rachel's not here, but to
Yeah.
get some, where, from the parks board perspective of what the future plans may be at Harbor View Park.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
this is Harbor View Park, just so everyone knows, it's this corner section.
And then,
Right here next to the pickleball courts.
Okay,
That's it, that's right here, Harbor View, because from here you have a view of the harbor. I don't know where the pointer's at, someone took it.
Just call that off.
well,
Okay.
just,
Yeah, it was.
Anything else to do?
So already, most of the trees along, the north side of the park there, they've come out, they were old spruce trees or pine trees that, were in their very last days of decline. And then, there's a number more in this row that also are in the same shape. And then there were some trees that were cleared along here having to do with power line clearance in the M119 project, so we'll talk about that too. Couple big old sugar maples here that do need some pruning, serious pruning. And then, so what we've talked about at parks so far is, I don't know if we can zoom out or this is just a clip of a smaller thing, but you know, these are all active recreation uses here. We have the skate park, we have the pickleball courts, we have all the little league fields. And so our feeling on the Parks Board is that this is a nice kind of green respite place in the middle of this. So not to make this any type of active recreation here, but just a nice place to come for a picnic after a game or come for your lunch or this would be a beautiful place for weddings or something like that. So and parks, we're always very careful to try and keep things super flexible because you never know when you're going to want to put up a big tent. So probably the middle will continue to stay open. There is a good bit of space, like maybe 20 feet even between the pickleball courts and where this row of trees was. So one thought would be to move the trees closer, but then Rachel and I were saying there's such a demand for pickleball right now that we'd like to leave that option open to, you know, take just a little bit more over here and maybe add some more courts. As far as Victor had a good point about like, what are we trying to accomplish along here? I think a couple things, shade for one thing. One of the problems with the old trees were needles dropping on the courts, so, not to go crazy with spruce trees again. But, some trees that would provide, sort of a windbreak from wind from the west. So, just Rachel and I talking, we're thinking like a mixed planting with evergreen and shade trees in there. We have parks on Tuesday, so we're gonna be talking about it there as well. And then the same kind of thing up along here. It was just solid pine trees before, so I think again, just like a mix of evergreen and shade trees. And, we don't really like this L shape that was here before, so I think we'll try and go more for something more, informal, you know, like groupings of trees. So it's a little more naturalistic as opposed to a straight line. Your handout has some trees that, I very quickly this morning threw together. And so we can go through and, if you like these, we could, you know, I could go over them with Parks Board, on Tuesday. And my understanding, Victor, is that, these will be covered by the general fund, is that right? Rather than tree board?
So the tree board, doesn't have its own funds, so that all trees are either covered under the general fund anyway, so.
So we don't have to take them out of the ones that, like our 24 trees?
No,
Okay.
but again, but this is all subject to council approval if you
Yes.
want to go forward with this, and we have to, of course, review the species selection at a later date with staff. But if you guys have trees you want to recommend that we look at, then yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think to get some nice fall color in there and,
Mhm.
some evergreen trees for off-season interest and then, break the wind.
Okay. Are there benches in there?
There's going to be,
Oh,
and
okay.
picnic tables, yeah.
That's all.
We're not planning any big hardscape,
Okay.
well, just as FYI, we, some of the things that are under discussion is, a lot of people from Bay Bluffs, come over with somebody and they go for a walk and then they stop right here because they can't come out to look at the views.
Yep.
But I just think that'd be wonderful, well, everybody does, if we had like a little, you know, casual walking loop around here where, anybody could use it really.
Here's my suggestion. I think we should get a plan from the Parks Board first, because it's very hard to visualize, you know, where things are gonna be to see where we might fit some trees in. That's my opinion. It's really hard to see. So like to know what trees should go where, or we want to plant there without knowing what the design looks like. It's,
Well, our feeling is that these are at the perimeter, so they wouldn't affect anything that we want to do. And we'd be happier to get them in sooner than later.
yeah, I haven't heard that from Rachel yet, so I don't
Well,
know from the Parks. Board
I
yet.
think she would confirm that.
I
Yeah.
love the idea of the path because I have played pickleball there and I've seen people with their wheelchair with somebody pushing them and they stop right there, and they're stopping at the least appealing place, which is looking at the cement of the pickleball
Yeah.
versus being able to get closer to the view.
Yeah,
I like
there's
that.
all sorts of things for them to check out now. We're gonna have benches along here, for them to watch the skate park and tables by the pickleball. Another thing that, it has been discussed, and I think this is gonna be sort of a, phase type thing, is whether down the road, we might wanna consider, you know, some type of pavilion somewhere here, that could be for picnics, after T-ball.
Where is
or-
that?
Well, park isn't
Potentially.
planned, but yeah, potentially, you know, somewhere like that, not close to the pickleball, but, you know, a place where you could, rent it for a family barbecue or, yeah, picnics after the games kind of thing.
Well, I guess that's why I think things like that I'm talking about, if there's gonna be a pavilion there, you know, if you're putting trees on the perimeter, you wanna know
Well,
how tall they
The
can get.
pavilion is not gonna be on the perimeter.
You said it was gonna be in the upper corner?
Well, here or here, but it's not gonna be on top of the trees.
Yeah, but you know, the trees have shade, they get taller, do you want shade over the pavilion or not, like those kinds of
Well,
questions?
we have shade here and shade here. So I don't know, we could have,
Yeah.
Rachel, I think
Yeah,
we're okay to go ahead with tree planting, but we'll let Rachel confirm. I think that's it, yeah. The trees that are on that handout there are, generally, native, and that could be kind of a fun interpretive thing that we could do there. There's a maple tree on there, and I would still continue to say that, you know, a maple tree here and there, and our plantings will be just fine. Just for Carol's benefit, you know, our policy has been not to have any more than X percentage of a certain species, but, that's
10,
one of
20,
our-
30. So 10% of one species, 20% of one genus, or 30% of one family.
Yep.
But in response to that, we have, at one point, we were approaching 40% in one family, which would be maples. So, and we also have to focus on the idea that not every maple tree is native to Michigan.
Yep.
But in support of what Dan is saying, yes, we can still afford to add maples and stuff like that, but we should be aware of what.
Here she is. I need backup, Rachel.
Huh?
I need backup. They're saying no trees until we have a plan, but I think we're close enough to knowing what we want that we can do them at the perimeter.
I think we know enough about our plan to know where to plant trees. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I just don't know, without seeing the plan, you know, where this tree
Yeah.
can go.
Only plans to the park could be a walking loop
Yeah, we talked about
and
that.
then a small pavilion, which we know like proximity, like where we would put it. And the only thing that was discussed was expanding parking, but that's a ways off.
So do you know how many trees?
We took out about
16.
15.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think we need to replace all 15. I would say, huh?
Which space is there?
I mean,
There's
the
room
ones
for-
we took
there's room
out,
for it.
yeah, there's definitely room for 15. But the most important spot to put them would be along the pickleball courts. That would be like number one, and then putting a few along the parking lot again.
But I just, Dana just said, I'm not trying to argue, but
No.
Dana just said that we might expand the pickleball courts.
Well, yeah, but we can move them over. So we wouldn't put them as close, and we wouldn't wanna put them as close to the pickleball courts as they were anyway. Cause they were annoying to clean up, so,
The trail will be supported until all the trees are planted,
yeah, it's just gonna be a loop, just a walking loop.
so you
not
can
it, yeah,
assign spaces.
yeah, so.
I don't know.
All I was saying, and I just, I feel like I need to see a plan. I
Yeah.
think we should see a plan before we know exactly where the trees are gonna go.
We're in the process of moving
Yeah.
this to the back.
But
burner,
wouldn't,
right?
where the trees go, be up to the park board? Or is that up to the tree board?
Well, no, the tree board's gonna.
I don't know,
No, no,
I
no,
don't,
no.
it's okay, I just don't know how that works. I don't know how the system works.
It's kind of like they're both advisory boards. So
Okay,
they're both advising
Yeah.
on what to do it. I just think from the tree board perspective, if
Yeah.
we're gonna recommend certain species, because that's what we have here is a list of species. I mean, I guess we kind of know what the,
from a parks board standpoint, DPW took all those trees out and we have nothing to replace them. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, I didn't realize that was Lucas's, I knew it was his plan, I realized he was gonna take all 5 out, and he still plans on taking those out. Like, that's a lot of trees to come out and not have a
Five are
plan.
you talking
Well, there
about?
were, there were more than 5, and there were like.
Yeah.
we
eight
got
along
several
that
right
line.
here,
Huh,
right
where?
here, this blue
I
line. that
can't
just-
see. Oh, back there. Oh.
So,
okay.
yeah, so these are all gone,
Need a highlighter.
all of these are gone, and all of these are also going.
Okay,
This
got it.
summer, spring still. So I guess from a park standpoint, we're putting our future plans on hold, just 'cause we have other things to deal with Kiwanis. But we feel that 15 trees going out without a plan to at least replace some of them is probably not great due diligence.
So you want them in relatively the same location? relatively?
Yeah, we move them away from the pickleballs a little bit, which was our plan anyway, because they were too close to those courts.
How about closer to the road here? Because I know we have the M119 plantings that we need to do here, but nothing on this side.
And those M119 plantings going all the way across,
Yeah, there, kind of right, yeah.
but they stop.
Yeah,
before the flag.
I got it right here.
Yeah.
So let's see. Not trying to be difficult.
Rachel?
No, it's okay. I understand the concern. We talked about it too.
Rachel, I also,
They stop,
Got it.
they actually stop at the pickleball. courts.
Okay.
So,
The ones for big ones.
so we were also discussing that we'd like to go for more informal plantings, like with groupings rather than like straight line.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the straight line.
And is it all gonna be necessarily trees and where you're doing that? Or are we talking bushes and shrubs too?
I think just trees.
Okay.
So how about this? How about the Parks Board? I mean, did you have an idea of how many trees you want to plant? Because we need to ask council for the money anyway. If you want to do this sooner or later, we have to ask, is it a budget amendment? So,
So maybe not the 16, but maybe 10. What do you think? But when do we talk about it on
Plus the
Tuesday?
visual.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, that's,
Yeah, I would say at least, yeah, 10 at least. Yeah, our plan wasn't to replace all 15 of them.
And
And
another,
they're really thin pine trees anyway, and they were really close together, and that's not what we're gonna replace.
okay, so I think, let's say, well, maybe we get from the Parks Board, just even if it's just a slight little drawing, so we have a visual of where the trees are gonna go and how many you want, and then we can make a recommendation based on this list, and then we can discuss it with staff and take it to council for.
So you don't need our recommendations now on the
I mean,
tree?
if you want to give them a recommendation, I mean, we probably, what you guys, I mean, you guys are going off this based on what it looks like.
you guys like the idea of going with native plantings here in case we did want to do some interpretive community
Native
education thing?
I'm sure, why not? We have the option.
Everything's native, so-
Huh?
Everything's native, so.
Native to Harbor Springs.
Well,
That's a different question.
I know, yeah. My only vote would be, I've seen so damn many arborvitae in my life that I'd love it if we didn't have any. That's just,
The native walnut.
huh? Well, yeah. Oh, I guess that's true.
But we're also light in the we were light in the inventory because we don't plant them because they get eaten, so.
Good, okay.
So, but if you plant a really big one, it's survive.
Do we want to do it this is kind of just seeing it for the first time, but like what your top 3 choices are for everybody and maybe that just helps them narrow it down a little.
I don't have any. Really.
How they run.
Yeah.
How about this? Is there any trees you don't want to see? I think Kathy's approach is the best one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so you don't want to see arborvitae. Any of these other trees?
Carol and I are both saying white spire birch, red maple,
White spire birch is not a native plant,
that is related to our native plants.
but it's not a native plant.
Okay,
It
but
succumbs to native diseases and insects.
is there another
We've
birch
had really
tree that
good
works
luck with
better?
them up here.
River birch are not susceptible to borers, but they are native to Missouri and not northern Michigan, so they don't do well. Paper birch will get borers, but not as much. There is a variety of paper birch, the Oasis or the Renaissance, which are supposedly borer resistant, which are a native tree that are resistant to a native bog. So that would be a substitute that I would,
And is that a white,
white bark,
bark too?
not as fine a texture as a white spire.
What are they called?
So it's vegetable papifera, and then the variety is.
The variety.
The paper birch, the varieties are Oasis or Renaissance.
Oasis or Renaissance?
Well, and I would just counter that a little bit with the landscapers are the ones that have to warranty these plants. And I can guarantee every landscaper is putting them in all over Harbor Springs and they look great. So, but if there's one that you think will do better, that's fine too. I would like to add in, it could be either the hornbeam or American hop hornbeam. That's just a wonderful native plant.
Okay.
Do we have availability for hawthorn beans?
Yeah.
Who's got?
I don't know about this year, but last year I got one from there.
And it's a neat.
And then do we want to add one more evergreen tree in? And, could be the Black Hill spruce. I do like the green giant arborvitae. It's, kind of a theme tree in Harbor
Kathy, you
Springs.
know that one.
Sorry.
Well,
But it's just my opinion. I'm not the only vote, so I'm just throwing out.
Well, I guess that's why I said, because we're getting a list now of all these trees again, so if there's any tree you don't want, then we can decide it's that, but based on your guys' plan.
Because you're right, the deer do eat them.
We're okay with all of them. Do we agree?
Sure.
I think it's less about a barrier for the pickleball courts from what we've heard from people and more about shade. We
Yeah.
took out 15 shade trees in that park and we didn't have a plan, which is on us,
Yeah.
but it's less about putting 10 trees in a line to cover the
Yeah.
pickleball
and
courts,
that's-
and it's more about having shading, which is why I'm fairly certain that we can get around whatever plans we're gonna do there.
Yeah.
And have a lower number than 15.
All right, so we'll just kick it back to get a final plan, then we can know exactly how many trees from you guys, the parks board we can do, and then we'll have to make a recommendation at the parks level to go to council for additional money if you want to do it this year. Yeah. Otherwise, we can put it in the budget for next spring.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a plan then. Shall we move on to, the M119 tree plantings?
So for catch up those, we might not have known, so this is a slightly outdated, Joe, I only say that because we didn't plant stems and roots of 5 and 3 that were shown on here, we kind of, at one of the tree board meetings last year, decided to not put as many in there. But these are the trees that we did plant, you have the Niagara arborvitae, the tupelos, the Green Gables, the black tupelos, I think 2 survived and 2 died.
Yeah.
I think that was a function of water. But I think just to be safe, let's put something different in, and I was gonna suggest the American hornbeam. It's about the same shape and size.
So, yeah, let me, I guess,
color.
through the rest of them, so now what we're talking about planting is this section in front of the skate park and pickleball courts when
Okay,
when the construction is done. And this is separate from the skate park landscaping, but it's.
got it.
But it wants to be, we wanted to be consistent with what's already kind of planted in the row beforehand.
Because the skate park landscaping is already being done. That's already in the city budget, right?
Yeah, the skate park landscaping is being taken care of, and this is already it's already approved by the city too, these.
Got it,
these
okay.
plantings.
I have a question. I was wondering, the vegetation next to the skate park, is the idea that you want to hide it from the
I hope
road?
not.
No,
Because the arborvitae, it kind of acts as a barrier, doesn't it?
well, there's 2 small groups there, and if we put in like, I don't know what ended up going in half or 2/3 of the trees, I don't think it's gonna.
Okay.
Yeah. If you drive by Bay Bluffs, I don't think the arbs.
Well, that's a good question. The wheelway, will this
I don't
interfere in the wheelway?
Yeah, well, they're gonna have to take it out. Only because I'm pretty sure you'd have to look at Benchmark's plans to be sure, but I'm pretty sure they put in some sort of like,
They are gonna be expanding the side.
yeah, and there's also like, I wanna say retaining walls, that's not the right word, but there's something there. And I think it would hit those, again, I'd have to look at the engineer drawings. So the landscaping for the skate park is gonna be a 4-foot black pool fence, like along the skate park, just to catch like boards, so they don't go into M119. And then we're gonna plant, yeah, and then we're gonna plant, you're gonna pull it, and then, we're gonna plant grasses around them, and we've also talked about like something on the fence or whatever we're gonna do. So there will be something already there as far as plantings and vegetation. But yeah, I would look at the wheelway plan.
That's a good point, yeah, because
Yeah.
there probably will be room to plant stuff, but I don't wanna
I
plant
don't-
stuff if they're gonna be doing construction in a couple of years there.
Right.
It might
They're just gonna
interfere.
be newer trees, and I don't know if they'll make it through that construction zone.
Mm-mm.
Can we just move them farther back?
Like closer to the road,
No, I'd have to
the
say.
side of the sidewalk, yeah.
Yeah, they can't go closer to the street.
Dan, on this, which one's the
The dash,
sidewalk?
the dash line is,
This right here?
the power lines, I believe.
Oh, these are the power lines, right, so these.
So then,
I'll say-
so then the.
So right here, this is power lines.
Oh.
Is this the sidewalk?
Yes.
right here. So we were planning on the, because this is the MDOT right away, so we were trying to plan on the inside.
So I think that sidewalk probably is 6 or 8 feet right now, and then is the
Close.
wheelway 10.
So the wheelway's 10, but then there's also, like I said,
A wall.
there's something else there, but also, I mean, I'm not saying they have to remove the trees, I'm just saying if those trees are only 2 years old, I don't think they're gonna make it through that.
So let's
Construction.
confirm with benchmark, maybe
Yeah.
before we continue on this, let's confirm with benchmark.
Yeah. But I don't want anyone to feel like there won't be anything there and it's just gonna be barren dirt. The landscaping does have something in front of the skate park to make it.
I don't think it's a bad idea either to consider moving it up towards the skate park. The topography, you know, is kind of level, and then where we've got them shown, actually, it's steeper, so it might be nicer for the trees to be up the hill.
And that's
a
kind of
little
why
bit.
we avoided planting trees right here too, because of its power. Right there on the far.
Yes.
That, the topography.
Yeah, and so you're just starting to get into some of that.
All right, but let me go back to benchmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rachel, let's go back to benchmark and see if they recommend against planting trees until it's built. And
Yeah.
or if there's something we can do in the intermediate. All right,
Sounds good.
thanks, that's why I'm glad you're here.
Okay, should we move on to the pocket forest? Where
Yes,
we are with that?
really not a whole lot. We're not too far with that. I think we should probably really give something to the school on what our intentions are, because, you know, it's kind of like, we look at the properties at a previous meeting, school properties, and we talked about them, how the high school might not be good because of construction and because the marching band practice is there. So I think elementary school, middle school is the only real spot back there if they have something back there.
Is the class that you suggested, Talia, would be somehow involved? Is that high school or middle school or
Our environmental science class is a high school
is a
class.
high school class? So, did that affect the location, do you think? I mean.
No, they can
it's not
walk
that
anywhere.
clo-
No,
It's
they
pretty
go out-
close.
They go outside a lot anyway to like look around, so
Okay.
it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
So, last time we had questions about what kind of pocket forest we wanted to be. We wanted to be densely, you know, there's a different types, you know, densely together. Do we want some sort of walking path in there? Guess a lot of these things are, I can ask the school for location, but they're gonna ask for more details, so I wanna,
Yeah, maybe it's more some questions back and forth, like, is this something you want to work into the curriculum for that class?
I
Yeah,
can ask location. I'll communicate further with the superintendent there, try to see if we can bring something back.
just the only thought being that, you know, if we want to do something in the fall that, you know, maybe it'd be nice to bring the teachers on board as they're planning curriculum over the summer.
We'll try to, I mean, we got a lot going on with these other plantings. We got Arbor Day Fest, we got a bunch of things to do, so. But we'll keep it might be a longer term project than fall, it might be spring of next year, I'm thinking potentially. It depends if we can get grant to really for someone to get on board with that too. All right,
All right, good. Should we move on then to the vegetation management plan?
yeah, so, this was a request that, to add the people who plant trees, when they make a private request, so let's say someone wants to plant a street tree, they send in an application. Or they have a vegetation management request, like they want to do trimming, they want to remove a tree, and then sometimes we require them to plant a tree in that tree's removal. We asked, we want to ask the person who planted that tree to put a 3-year guarantee. That means if the tree dies within 3 years, that they have to replace it. So that they're responsible for essentially taking care of that tree. This is not for the city to plant our own trees. So if we're planting a tree, we're not buying trees that have a 3-year guarantee. It's for those people who request to plant trees in the street right away. So there's a couple edits. The first one is the vegetation management policy. You'll see there's this red line basically saying for any tree planting required by the city as part of approval, the property owner must guarantee the tree's survival for 3 years. And then in the street tree planting application requirements, I made 2 different edits. The first one is not related to that, but I searched the website. It said, for species selection, the website guide to the selection of trees and shrubs in urban areas and all the urban trees and shrubs. I wanted some of these and I couldn't find that first one. So I figured that we have our own right tree, right place guide, that we should just refer people to that instead of making them do a goose chase on the internet of what trees to plant. We have ours already. Yeah. Yeah, so I changed that to say that, they can find that right tree, right place, where they can find that on our website. But then I did on the next page, the second page, there is already a checkbox that the owner takes full responsibility to water a tree for a minimum of 3 years. And then I wrote, if the tree dies within 3 years, the owner will be required to replace such. So really, it's just, they're planting trees, we're making sure that they keep the tree alive for 3 years and replacing. Yes,
Just above that on the second page,
Mhm.
it says, the tree will be planted, watered, maintained by the owner.
And attached,
The attached Arbor Day Foundation booklet, how to select and plant a tree,
I've never given that out to anyone.
do you have such a thing? Should that be left in?
I think we might need to take that out. Ben, what do you?
So
Were you part of this when this was created or no?
Yeah, that was against my objections.
Okay. I was going-
The suggestion that we made was that the people plant consistent with the NCA 300 standard, which is what the Arbor Day Foundation based their pamphlet on. But they're 8 years behind what the NCA revisions are, so like it's always old technology that you're getting from Arbor Day. You can find that at treesaregood.org under homeowner, a homeowner care sheets for trees. It has planting instructions.
So should we refer to the ANSI 300 standard or should we go to treesaregood.org?
I think that'd be better for a layperson, maybe.
I mean,
Well,
we
we
could
can
take
do both.
NT 300 and then list it as an example as to see an illustration.
So maintain by owner according to the recommendation, according to ANSI 300 standards, which can be found at treesaregood.org.
Homeowner information.
Yeah.
One question I would have, and maybe this is not really that important, but if we say that they have to have a 3-year guarantee and we want them to maintain that, are we asking them to fertilize and treat? So like in 1 year, we don't see much mortality with anything other than water issues, right? Too much or not enough water will cause mortality in that amount of time, or cold hardiness. But when we get into that second and third year, we see pathology, so we see diseases that show up. Do we want homeowners to be doing that? Because technically on city property, they have to have the permission of the city to apply a pesticide.
Good question.
And do we want to give that permission?
Doesn't it become the city's responsibility though at some point to monitor the trees?
Yes, but according to this, it was,
And I guess that's where I was going with it. Would it be better to have them notify the city so the city can take care of that, or at least, quantify what's important?
previously we had the owner takes full responsibility to water the tree for a minimum of 3 years.
Right.
And alert the city, if they see any evidence of, disease or insect.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll get a whole lot of alerts, but. I
You
just
probably
want to make sure that if the language says maintain, and some, well-meaning person says, I'm gonna kill those bugs. We don't end up with a Superfund site or something like that.
So I think that's fair. So we add alert.
Yeah.
Or notify city. If that tree is dying. evacuation. And we can have arborists or DPW look at it. Probably our arborist. He's qualified to do it. All right, so, okay, so I'll make those other changes. I'll figure out some good wording for those, for the one Kathy Lee, for what Dan said there. Any other thoughts while you ladies are at it?
And that's good. Should we talk about Arbor Day for a minute?
No, yeah, but is there anything for the street flip? Just change it up, yeah. Arbor Day, yes. See, we have a lot going on. It's sweet, yeah.
So I think we've already said, let's think summer for it.
That's what,
Think about summer for it.
I'd say, yeah.
Obviously, it's May at this point, so it's going to be summer.
Is
I know
like
we-
next week or something?
It's already been in April, so.
We
it's
never
too
do our
cold-
Arbor Days,
It's too
yeah.
cold up here to.
Did you
Yeah.
Arbor Day? Okay, got it.
We could just call it Arbor Fest and not Arbor Day Fest.
Previously, we had talked about,
Arbor at the harbor.
maybe trying to get more people to come by doing it down at Zorin Park and, kind of in, at the same time as Farmers Market, so that's one idea. And we were talking about showcasing the street tree plan. Maybe do a community barbecue and the mayor flips burgers and hot dogs. Could do
Never
some
did burgers.
education demonstrations type of thing. Another idea would be to do something up at Harborview Park, and we could actually put in a couple of small trees up there. It could be about how to plant trees. I know last year we did how to prune trees.
Sure.
Well, I think that's a good, I think we did do how to prune trees last year, so I think maybe how to plant trees properly might be.
Yeah.
The Parks Department supports that idea.
What?
Parks Department needs to bring front loader.
But whether it's at, I don't think we have any plans to plant trees at Zorn Park, do we?
No,
That's the
So-
thing, it's,
So maybe at Harborview Park, and there's parking right there too, we got, unless there's a lot going on.
and we still could do a little barbecue
Depends on
if we
when you
wanted
do
to
it.
do that.
I
Yeah,
think,
Barbecue some skateboards.
don't you think we need to offer some sort of refreshment in order just to get people there? If
She's
it's
got
not
barbecue.
downtown? Huh?
She's got barbecue.
Yeah, that's, so I
That's
mean,
why.
okay,
Well, I've
good,
heard
okay,
the-
I'm with you.
She's got burgers too.
So-
yeah, it's happened to me.
Mhm.
One thing that we talked about briefly too is, maybe most of the trees are nice nursery stock size trees, but maybe Relief would come in and we could do like a very small event where we could interplant with smaller trees up there. That makes sense. It's kind of a more natural planting too, where you have them of different sizes.
Mhm.
Lots.
I think I like Harborview Park.
I think so.
I like some of the smaller trees too, because not everybody has the financial wherewithal,
Mhm.
to have a nursery come in and plant a $1,000 tree and pay $1,000
Yeah.
plant in it. Or 10,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
It might encourage people to plant more trees in their yard if they understand that they could actually do it themselves with a smaller tree to start.
Mhm.
Do that.
This doesn't really relate so much to street trees, but maybe it doesn't have to.
No, it doesn't need to relate to street trees.
Mhm.
Do you wanna reach out to Relief and see if they might have some time this summer where they could do it? Meet us? I don't know that we'd want a whole bunch of little trees, right?
How little are we talking about?
The same thing that's gone in the other like 1-inch trees or whatever they are.
Yeah, I mean,
There's some
really
big
grants,
balls in this last bunch, yeah.
they shop that grant from nurseries all over the state. I don't know, I mean, it would depend on what they're granting and why they're granting. I mean, like, so essentially asking them for a grant, and they're gonna want a grant proposal, I would guess.
Yeah, they probably want to do it for more trees than.
And last time they did, last time they wanted, I ended up getting a side call because they were looking for people to come supervise it. So like, hey, well, you come do this, and we will already in there for the city of Harbor Springs, so that's why they had Kate come.
I think if it's just a couple trees, we could purchase a couple trees and plant them on our own. I mean,
It might be better.
I think that's a better idea than involving really maybe become
Well, didn't
involved.
Rachel just say that they were gonna plant those trees there anyways?
Yeah, Harborview Park, yeah, but we don't have we still need to get a plan for where we want to plant those trees, but I think we should probably figure out a date, you know, what month we want to do this at. Yeah, I mean, because
Do you want to involve the farmer's market on Saturday?
that's if it's at Zorn Park, that's, I think, yeah.
What we do with that is we get a booth down there and give away trees. So that's another thing is what tree do we want to give away this year?
And if you have it on the same day, you could direct people up to
Yeah.
the park.
Yeah, that's what we do with one.
I think, yeah, is June too early? Yeah,
I think just for planning.
August?
yeah.
Could be hot, but
Is that a good time to plant trees?
not best, but it could happen.
Would we wait till September?
Or here's another idea is maybe we should get however many of the bigger trees in first, so then we interplant with these smaller
Yeah,
ones.
but I don't know if we're gonna have the council approval to plant trees at Harborview Park. We have a lot of, we just asked them for 12 trees for the street tree planting. They have not seen Harborview Park yet, the council. So by the time they approve that, I don't know if we're gonna have trees planted there for this event in time. I mean, I don't think we should rely on that.
Well, they approved the 12 trees for the street tree plan. Could we ask that half of them be diverted to Harborview for right now,
I
or
don't think we should do that. I think we'll just ask them for.
bring more trees?
Yeah.
Well,
You just delayed
This
this,
is better than.
you're delaying the street tree plan to do a Harborview Park, which the council hadn't seen yet, so I don't.
if the demo is just with a few small trees, they wouldn't have to be interplanted. Could it be somewhere else? Or
No,
at
I
the
think-
Park, not really?
Not really, because we gotta keep the things open.
Yeah, I mean, we can't guarantee that any trees we plant in Harborview this year. That might be a next year. It's just not in our budget right now to do it, so. I'm aware.
Well, we could ask
Where are we?
council for 8 trees for Harborview. I don't know.
I'd rather do it right than rush it
Mhm.
and do it if we have to in 2025.
I thought we just said though that it's
Well,
fair.
we will, but
Everyone-
parks, we still have to meet Tuesday, figure out
Parks,
how many
yeah.
trees.
Parks still has to meet, still has to go in front of council. So Parks meets this Tuesday, we'll go in front of council June if there's a plan for,
Yeah,
you know, but my understanding is Parks also has a lot of other things going on too. So we take something to the council and maybe they approve it, you know, so then we won't know for sure what's going on until, you know, June.
So then maybe.
And I have to, you know, we have to keep on looking at because, you know, this is something that gets really, it's a budget creep, right? People are always making requests for things, and I mean boards or whatnot are making requests. We expected this kind of surplus, and then we keep on chipping away at the surplus we expected. And now we're down to, you know, 20-30% what we expected because of all these additional projects that weren't planned on before. So for budgeting purposes, I'll tell you, Nick, it's not, because I really like us coming in and be like, oh yeah, let's just keep on adding more expenses that we didn't have planned at the beginning of the year. And they're not emergency expenses, they're,
So.
you know, so
When we try and do fundraising.
you could have someone donate some trees. And explain the project to them, you know, we want some donated trees.
Maybe the pickleball group would want to.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if there
That's a good approach. Ask the pickleball people for donations.
But does that, I mean, that solves, that might solve the funding problem, but what about the timing issue that Rachel was talking about, maybe not doing it this year?
Well, depends on-
well, there's a lot of different variables, so
What,
we can ask for donations over the summer.
right?
See how far we get. We can look at the budget in October when all of our major spending is done in the parks budget, and I can see how much is left over. And what we can kind of maneuver. Or, yeah, we can put it in the budget for 2025, or we can ask council.
No.
My only concern with asking council, we have a lot of big projects coming up.
Well, and just not even parks, Kathy, so,
Well, I'm back to,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm back to, Arbor Day is what we're trying to talk
It's
about.
what we're
So
trying to do.
2025 isn't, I mean, I'm
Right,
talking about what,
exactly.
where and what could we do in August or September of 24? And so that's, I'm trying to get us back to that.
I think we could plan a, show up, do a planning demonstration at Harborview Park with 1 or 2 trees, a couple of trees. If we need someone to donate a couple of trees, that's great. So let's try to do that. Let's try to do something in September.
Okay, if that makes,
How many is September?
I think September would be the best time.
I think
Yeah, that's too.
Better than August. The plant,
We want to pick a date at this point or?
We get the most availability for plants now,
I know, we just
and
can't,
nobody will dig after that.
we don't have any, we can't plan Arbor Day Fest for a few more months. That's the thing.
Well, they do fall digs and trees.
Some stuff, but like the thing we run into is that like if they don't have a few trees, like 10, they don't wanna dig them, like we run that with Hoppins all the time, they'll say, oh yeah, we'll get you a tree, and then they don't, and say, well, that's deer season, we're gonna go on.
We could have DPW, we could have.
Yeah.
We could have other people dig. If it's a small tree, it's not gonna be a.
No, I mean, so they dig them out of the nursery.
Oh, dig it out of the nursery.
So some things won't transplant until summer, they wait for them to harden off. And so spruces and some of the pines, they'll dig in the fall.
So how about, let's just get the date first.
Yeah.
I can work out some of the details. September, not the Labor Day weekend, but probably one of those Saturdays afterwards.
okay.
Yeah, the school schedule, we should check, right?
And remember, the book festival is last, so,
So that's September 14th. September 21st. What's September 14th?
Yeah.
Saturday.
sure, why not?
Want to do it Saturday? Yes.
And farmer's market's still going on in September?
Yeah, it
does.
goes through early October.
Yeah, early October.
And that-
Right, well, I can get sort through some of those other details. Bring them to you.
Ideas on tree giveaway this year?
Like what?
We've got time, yeah.
Species.
We did we do white pines last year, I think?
We did sometime.
What about service berries?
There's a book,
Last
people,
time we tried to find those, they were twice the cost of white pines. They were really expensive, but that could have been like a tail end of COVID, everybody wanted to plant edibles.
so let's, how about we give Ben a couple options, he can search the.
Okay.
If we're doing bare roots though, like we would have had our order in last fall for this spring.
Oh,
Like that's gonna be hard. We'd have to get potted plants. Like everybody's coolers get turned off in June, so like they don't dig again until next spring. So if somebody has them, they're in pots. Yeah, let me think of this.
service berry, white pine.
No, we did white
We did
pine
white
last
pine.
year.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at the options and we don't, can't spend too much money.
I like the idea of service berry, but
I think
I don't know
I mean,
what,
it's really tolerant, perhaps like to eat it.
maybe they'll stay out of my hostas then.
I got a way to keep them on your hostas, but you won't like it.
Then
All right, Ben, how about we look at the
Talk
first-
at it.
I will do the service berries, see if I can find somebody that has some.
So you're saying in September, we won't be able to get bare root anymore?
It's just the way that it works. I mean, like anybody, I shouldn't say that, I can't speak for everybody in the world, but most of the people that we get bare root stock from, it ends up being that they shut their coolers off in June, so anything that's left over becomes fertilizer, they compost it, so.
So if we can get, it's still May.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody has something left over, we get it, though, it has to get planted, right? So like if we got bare roots, we'd have to put them in pots.
We can't put it in coolers.
Well, if
I'm
we wait till
talking about the
September, we'll
giveaway.
have to wake up. Like, that's why they shut down
Oh,
the
yeah,
coolers,
yeah.
because they've been dormant for too long.
I can understand.
So I mean, that's a thing, I mean, we could pot 100 saplings or something like that.
How much would that cost?
Well, if you guys do it, nothing.
I'm willing.
Oh, well, how big, I mean, are we talking?
So, I mean, they would be any big, we would need pots, I mean, pots cost pennies, media costs,
I can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even
We
with
could
my
do that.
bag, like,
So that might be a thing,
Because
to see if we
how
might
many
have this.
Yeah, if you can do that, that might be.
I mean, so like that's what I'm not gonna do.
I don't know how to all.
I would get a hold of, like what size pots?
Well, we would order them from like BFG or something like that, like 4x4s, like 4 inch by 4 inch.
You could also talk to some of the landscapers and see
I
if
would talk
they'd be willing to give us ones from Jobs.
I would speak to Lowe's or Home Depot. They do like a giveaway to municipalities. Let's take all that mulch from years ago, like when they have things they can't sell or there's like mixed match.
Actually-
Sense.
Doesn't the transfer station have a pile for recycled pile?
They do,
That'd
you
be
can
good.
recycle your plastic.
Oh, yes.
Is it, it's still a lot, Lisa, Eliza, Seltzer, does she?
It's what? It's.
I'm just trying to think who has something to do with that, that is a Harbor Springs resident that we could say, hey, can we pick through your pile?
I can get in touch with Andy Telstar.
Yeah, I mean, so like that might be easy, because if there's a pile. of
Yeah,
just
there's
sort of-
always, there's always a ton of stuff there.
Or do you wanna do that, Victor? Would it be better if staff did it, or? I don't mind doing it.
If you can do it, that's fine. I don't have time to do any of this stuff. anyways.
I would find every excuse I could to stay away from dealing with lawyers.
Okay, those are some good starting plans and, what else do we have to figure out right now? Ben's gonna look into service berries. I'll look into pops. We've got a date.
September 14th, the mayor for barbecue.
Yep.
Burgers and.
And we'll try and find sponsors again, to pay for the plants and then the barbecue too.
Usually we have leftover hot dogs from some, but yeah, we can do it.
I didn't hear what you said.
Like, so usually we have leftover hot dogs from somewhere. But we can just buy hot dogs. No, we do, like sometimes parks will have an event and they have a lot of hot dogs left.
You're not gonna have any August events, I can assure you. No, yeah.
Like the,
Yeah, well, it's January, except in June, yeah.
but we'll figure that out. That's normally, yeah, that's something that's in our budget that we plan for.
Shall I work on sponsors?
Yeah, I mean, last year we had,
Hoffman
the
and Johansson.
Johansson, yeah.
Might have been another.
And then, looking for small trees to plant. Which trees and species, maybe that's, you guys talk about that at, and where you want them at the Parks Board, and then we can get that figured out.
I can do a quick sketch that would make everybody a little more comfortable showing grouping the trees and like.
Absolutely, it's also, when you go to council, I cannot, it's really hard to go to council without a sketch for that.
Yep.
Other than working.
Barbecue Park?
No, really, nothing in that picture.
Yeah, that was probably-
No, I don't plan on having to go to council.
For the trees.
For the budget request.
I plan on working on donors.
Okay.
So it's something that doesn't need to happen tomorrow. If we like need to, I mean, if Park Board wants us to, that's one thing, but that wasn't my initial plan,
All right, we'll talk it.
but.
I think a sketch will help too, you know, maybe
Yeah.
we do a treat or a Parks Corner article.
Yeah, we need a sketch anyway, so. it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
a sketch, at least we need to see, I need to see it. So I know, because I'm trying to coordinate between these two boards, between Parks and Tree Board, and it's, I don't go to Parks Board meetings, so. This sketch will help me. All right, anything else?
No, I think that's good for now. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about today? Good, meeting adjourned at 1:13.
Well, that's on
That's
fast,
one
but
pen, yeah.
it's really one pen.
Uh-oh.
It wasn't that. bad.
Well,
Well, it's a minute slow, which is odd.
Great job.